So three main stocks that I quickly wanted to talk about that just reported earnings. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I did close out my trade on Nvidia, as you guys could see, slightly in the green, that I actually turned into a swing trade. So that's actually one that I'm going to be carrying into tomorrow, as I view Nvidia to be a little bit more on the overbought side with some pullback potential. DJT, I walked away with $1,200 in the green and a beautiful setup that now it gapped up. And as long as it holds, this thing had a 15.5% gain today. And it's one of the stocks that did not report earnings, but that did excessively go up today. 15.5%, retesting previous highs, and we'll see tomorrow if we get rejected at the same previous resistance, or then we sold off back to lows of 25. I don't expect it to actually sell off back to the same lows, but again, I mean, that was a 20% sell-off. Even if we capture a 5 or 10% sell-off, there's no question that DJT has been excessively overbought within a very short period of time, and it's in my watch list for a stock to potentially short it. There's actually a comment that I thought was very interesting, because anytime that I talk bad about DJT, people say, oh, he must be voting for Kamala. If you guys know anything about me, that's the last person that I personally would be voting for. And again, that's just my preference. With that being said, I'm not biased when it comes down to my political preference and when it comes down to a trade opportunity. There's no emotion, there's no opinion when it comes down to this of what I hope DJT does. It's a bullshit company, right? It's an overvalued company that is pretty much a tool in which you can kind of determine on where Trump is on the polls. So again, if you allow your political opinion to overwhelm your thought process when it comes down to the trades that you take, then your track record will speak for itself. The second stock that I quickly want to talk about is another company that reported earnings, and that's United Airlines. United Airlines exceeded expectation, came in at 12.44% in the green, again continuing the overall rally. It is extremely overbought, but extremely bullish, as you can see. Definitely not a stock that I would care to short, but congratulations to all those that are invested, as again, direction has been in your favor. And just my friendly reminder of know when to take profits if that's something that you're looking forward to. The last one that I quickly wanted to bring up is LCID. Quite the opposite. Also another company that reported earnings, and just when you think that things can't get cheaper, this is a perfect example of the cheap can always get cheaper. It went from $3.28, sold off 12%, and ended up trading at $2.88, making things even worse. LCID, again, Lucid, which is one of Tesla's competitors, has been a company that has been consistently losing money quarter after quarter. Now, it did look like things were getting better, but it looks like the EV market is still extremely competitive, especially with the results that they just showed. This is going to be very interesting because, again, is this kind of like a forecast of what Tesla is going to be reporting for their earnings next week? This is something that's going to be very important to pay attention to, especially if you're newer to the market. Your job should not be to predict the future, because none of us can, so let's not pretend like we can, but to be aware that there's a lot of companies this week, next week, and for the next 3 weeks that will be reporting earnings. So I don't want to hear any excuses when it comes down to, oh no, I'm bag holding, or I didn't know that it was going to report earnings. If you're invested in any stock right now, I would encourage you to figure out when it's expected to report earnings and what the expectation is, and then do your due diligence and ask yourself, is this a stock that you want to carry and hold during and while it reports earnings, knowing that it could potentially sell off? If you're okay and you can tolerate it and it would only encourage you to buy more, then great, you're in a very favorable position. But if you're in a very high stressed position where you can't tolerate any more of a sell-off, then you better do something before earnings are actually reported. And again, I'm very excited to follow up tomorrow to see if my trade plan goes according to plan when it comes down to this Nvidia short that I view to be a little bit more on the overbought side. And if we look at this on the 1 hour, we're testing overbought levels. NASDAQ market is also beginning to slow down, which for me, when I see that it's beginning to slow down and showing signs of a little bit more of a bearish pattern, that kind of excites me, because NASDAQ market is selling off, but Nvidia is trying to hold on by a hair. And as long as the NASDAQ market continues to sell off, Nvidia will most likely follow, which means there's pullback potential. And please remember, just because I take this trade does not mean that you need to, but this trade would offer me about 4 to 5% of potential downside profit profit, because when it comes down to shorting, you make money as the stock sells off. Again, I cover this in a little bit more detail in the LPP lesson library. If you ever have any questions, you guys can feel free to check it out, and it's the second link in the description down below that will also give you access to my live trading session as soon as tomorrow, right at market open. If you ever want to tune on in, I'm one click away. Second link in the description down below, and I hope to see you there. Like always, hope that earned your thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.